Hello, everyone. My name is Jules Hare. I'm joined by my soul sister, collaborator, Janel Willette, and we are so excited to join with you in another revolutionary conversation. Today's conversation is going to be all about conscious communication, looking at our triggers, not reacting from a place of being triggered, and how the outside world is actually a reflection of what's happening inside of us. We're going to jump into all of that. I'm so excited to have all of you join us in this amazing conversation. Janelle, please invite us into this huge topic.
This chasm of unresolved turmoil that we get to hide until something in life triggers us and pokes a hole in it, and out it comes. And oftentimes it comes at the most inconvenient times, right? We think we have it all together, that we're on our trajectory, life is going as we want it to go, and then all of a sudden somebody says something, someone sends us an email, or someone speaks something that is like lightning and thunder to our inner dwelling, catches us off guard, and there's this disruption that's undeniable. What do we do? Do we react? Do we pause, and give ourselves a chance to respond? That's what we're going to explore today.
And as you say that, Janelle, just throwing out that possibility of like having that thorn just come up when everything's going well. I could feel that in my body. We've all had that experience before. And it's interesting. We've been talking with lots of people, which is why we're making this the theme, because a lot of people are experiencing this lately. And we have this tendency, and I've had this tendency before, people I talk to, the same thing, where something comes up and we make it about them. Like that person was the one who triggered me, right? That thing that they did, can you believe they did that? We instantly put ourselves into the role of victim and something being done to us. And in doing that, we separate ourselves from actually having ownership and responsibility and the ability to be able to shift it, recognition that that which is happening outside of us is actually a reflection of something that wants to be acknowledged inside. And we wanted to make sure that we drove home this one from the very beginning, because if you shut it off and you become the victim, and this is something happening to you instead of for you, you have stopped everything. And there's no way to move forward in any direction. You've given yourself a dead end, and more dead ends will come up until you choose to actually look inside of you instead of blaming the world outside of you for all these things happening to you.
Yeah, very well said, Jules. And I think the key that we really want to talk about is the bridge from what happened on one side to how you're going to get yourself across this discomfort that's inside of you to a response that's not going to cause more damage and spin you out in the process. So, what are the ways that you can speak from a place that is neutral in the midst of being very triggered or emotionally charged? And so that's what we want to explore, because if you can get across the bridge to that place where you can sit with it and you can really look at how you've been triggered or how that is landing in a place that irritates, that causes so much inner disruption and dis-ease, to be able to sit with that and recognize what's really going on here. Right?
And as you say that, I know we've had conversations about this in the Golden Genius Mastermind last night. We had a conversation with this about this as well. And if you identify with the part that's been hurt or triggered, it makes it really hard, right? Just like being the victim, like you just said, Janelle, that opportunity to see it, to witness it from a distance. Feel free to distance yourself as far away from it as you can. Be the observer. Imagine it's not you. You're watching it happen in a play or on TV. Whatever you can do to be able to stand back and witness it and watch it instead of being the main player in it is going to give you a great advantage over being able to see it and feel it and unearth it or let it reveal what it needs to reveal.
Exactly. And I think that really starts with a way that we practice our own inner awareness. It's like we move through life being vigilant of what's going on around us and within us. That that dynamic, that play. What's going on around us and inside of us. What's going on inside of us, and then from that place, what goes on out and around in our community, in our work, in our families, etc. So to begin to just have that awareness of that corresponding dynamic inside of our own selves is really, I think, the first step, because as you begin to cultivate that higher or more poignant awareness when you're going through life, can create a foundation within your own self to just recognize, whoa, that reverberation. And sometimes you don't have the time or the space in that moment while you're in a meeting or you're in a conversation or in a setting, but to just pause and take 3 breaths and just bring yourself to that place. I'm like, whoa, that really landed deep in my being. Whoa, it really landed in a way that I'm uncomfortable. I'm recognizing that I'm really uncomfortable with that. So even to own I'm really uncomfortable with that is to be the witness of this discomfort, this irritation, this I don't want to see or feel this. And now I am witnessing more aspects of myself. And in that witnessing, you can begin to bring yourself out of that undertow, that spin, that discomfort with your own inner conflict is so uncomfortable that you're going to react and push something away. But that 3-second pause of not doing anything is really the bridge to just collect yourself and tell yourself the truth in a moment. It's like, whoa, this really hit me hard, or this really causes me unsettledness. And in that unsettledness, we're naturally uncentered. And so this is clearly not the time to have a conversation. But what do we do? How do we relate to that other person or relate to the world around us in that moment? And what I like to do is I like to have 2 or 3 short little sentences that I have in my back pocket, so that when I get triggered or when somebody says something to me that catches me off guard, whoa, because they might be having a really bad day and you just happen to be the person in front of them, and pooh, you get the punch. It may not even be about you, right? So it can go both ways. But to take that pause and just sit with it, and then while you're sitting with it at the same time, you go, all right, I hear you. That's interesting. I'm going to need to sit with this for a moment, and then let's have a conversation. But even to be true to yourself and to have a way of communicating from a neutral place where you don't dishonor the other person in the midst of your own discomfort is a way
And
to bridge um, the respect for you, both yourself and the other person, no matter what is happening inside of you or with the other person.
I like how you said that, Janelle, because uh, we often have the tendency to either value other people or everything outside of us more,
Mhm.
or inside of us more. And I'm sure as I say this and you're listening and watching, you can kind of tune into that, or maybe there's different situations where you value the perspective of others or that validation of others more than your own. And there'll be different times potentially where you feel like, that inside validation or that beingness from you is more potent. So when you said, I need to honor where I'm coming from, also honoring the fact that, they brought something to the table that's challenging for me, and I need to acknowledge that they've said that. They need to feel like they've been seen and heard and acknowledged, and at the same time, I I am not prepared to engage because I feel like I just got hit with something and I don't know what to do with it. As a parent, I can speak from a parent perspective. The biggest challenges and triggers for me are often my kids, right? Because that they just come out of nowhere. They probably think mine come out of nowhere as well, but it's a challenging dynamic. And I remember one time when my daughter, I just asked her to do something like, "Hey, Tara, can you put away the dishes?" "Yeah, can I just do it some other time? This is really inconvenient." And I just remember going, "Oh, how dare her! Like, I just asked her to do this one thing and rah, rah," and I could feel myself spinning. And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, Jules. This isn't actually what that's about." She just said the exact right thing that made me feel not seen and disrespected and not heard, and all of the things that were already gathering up in me. And she just like had that exact way to push the button and and I could feel it. And anybody who's been triggered, we know it's like, oh my gosh, you at some point you're completely consciously aware that you are reactive and like you're a bomb ready to explode. And it's not about that even. Potentially you even know that and it still feels like it's, oh no, it's at that point. The fuse is burning down, like it's about to blow. That trigger it's not imaginary. It's actually happening. But like you said, Janelle, just taking that time to be present with yourself instead of letting it run the show, letting it take over. That's the difference, and that's the choice that we have in those moments.
And I think that's really our responsibility to um, both ourselves and the other person. Because it's like when we vent or when we react, we're really polluting the prana of our world, of our inner humanity, right? We're polluting it. We're sending negative energy out. And the key is to process it at a time that's right inside this factory. Because that's my responsibility, not to pollute. And you may not be able to do it in that moment. You may not even have the capacity to do that. But to remember to take ownership of anything that comes out of your mouth or through your body. And to remember that is always a choice. So the bridge gives you the chance to go, whoa, I really don't want to do or say something. Because once you say something or once you write something, you can't take it back. And there's a good chance that that begins to set a spin out into both the world and to the other person or the people, right? And remember that. If you can remember to remember that what you say and what you do echoes out into eternity. Is it going to be positive or is it going to be negative? Because if it's negative, it's going to have an equal effect inside your own self.
I like the way that you said that too. And I love analogies. So the analogy of our body as a thought factory, as an action factory, as a feeling, emotion factory, and that we get to choose if we just let it like off gas, smog, and exhaust, right? Or if we actually like make sure that our plant, our factory is efficient and it's worked through all of those parts before they actually come out in the most clean way, in the most distilled way, in a way that feels integral and fitting to how, to how we want the world to engage with us, right? Um, and it feels it feels so important to recognize that, of course, there are times that it doesn't work out that way, and we're not to beat ourselves up for it. But it's that acknowledgement of going, oh, okay, this is now I can look at this part of the plant of my factory that what's going on there. How do we bring some more awareness and attention to that part? It's like we're constantly finding our own efficiencies and connections, and this constant conscious communication. It takes constant like efforting and looking at it and awareness in order to make sure that our factory is really as clean as we want it to be inside and out.
Ecology, energy ecology. What is your energy ecology here? Right? How are you burning the energy that comes in and the energy that is going on inside of you? And the more we are in relationship with our own selves, having that inner awareness, we can have a clean burn, meaning that we fully compost things and give ourselves that time for the composting. So what comes out is beauty, is grace, is recognition, is a harmonious vibration.
Mm.
We all made it our own credo not to pollute and really be of that energy ecology. Because in that same way, you recognize, wow, we all have a responsibility, right? I remember about 15 years ago, I had a friend visiting um, from another country. And so he didn't have the natural knowingness of not polluting, not throwing trash out. And so we had stopped at a deli and he had gotten this muffin. And as we were driving down the highway, without thinking about it, he threw the wrapper out the window. I almost lost it. And I realized, I'm like, that is an example in that same way of ecology of like, if you just react and you just throw it out the window, I can't go back and get that and find that wrapper. But I just left a piece of trash that isn't going to be composted. And that was such an analogy to me of how we react with our words, with our actions, with our writing. You just gotta like get it out because it's so uncomfortable. Or it's such a knee-jerk reaction because we haven't taken the time with our own awareness to see what's really going on inside ourselves.
And I like that analogy too of the compost, the polluting, and also the compost. If you want to compost something, it doesn't happen overnight, right?
Yeah.
It takes it having the time, but also the churning and the turning it over and over again before it fully is ready to to be great fertilizer, to grow amazing new things. And I think we have this tendency to think that we're supposed to get it and get it right away, and that it's supposed to be fast and instantaneous. And
Yeah.
some things are a slower burn. They need processing time to actually shift into what they're ready to shift into. And if we gave ourselves that grace, those breaths, and that like clean burn where we recognize we don't have to pollute, and by our promise to not pollute or to try to decrease our energy emissions, right? Energy pollution emissions. I love this analogy. We're going to keep playing on it. That opportunity to go, oh, wait a second, I was polluting again. Holy cow. Okay, you know what? I haven't gone that far away from my wrapper. I'm gonna acknowledge the fact that, wait a second, that really wasn't for you. I'm looking at a lot of stuff right now, and it really wasn't my place to comment on that. Please just disregard that. I didn't mean that. Like there, we still have that opportunity, and I've done the same with my kids before too, where like, I am so sorry. I I got it in my head that you weren't listening, and really, I know you got lots of things going on, and I just
Yeah.
you, and that was not yours, and I apologize. So also that recognition that, you know, yes, we're polluting, and some things are hard to take back, but there are also some things that we can, you know, turn back the car around and go, no, actually, I can throw that out myself, and I'm sorry for having done that, and that can be a huge, huge thing for someone else to receive an apology. It's phenomenal to witness that and to be the recipient of that and go, oh my goodness, I can do that too.
Absolutely. And that is really, I think, what deepens the tapestry of human connection and harmony. How can we restore harmony? And I think it behooves us to have within ourselves the way to go clean up our own trash. Yeah, walk alongside your road in your own chronological narrative, and how can you clean things up with your own self and the other people that you've either hurt or negatively affected. And ultimately you're doing it for yourself, because until you clean it up with the other person, you haven't cleaned it up in here. And then there's this chance for a deeper connection with that person, because there's transparency, there's honesty, there's vulnerability, there's a renewed respect that you can show to that person by letting them know that you want to resolve a part of your own actions or words that wasn't right. And I'm here to want to get it right with you. And then from that yin place, you let them respond. And you just stay open and empty from that place in your heart. I'm here to want to get it right with you, however that looks. Are you willing to meet me there?
And I'm glad that you said that, Janelle, because I know in some situations that other person is not willing or ready or even available, like they might have already died, right? Like there's some situations where that's not possible, but even just the want to do that, and that like having that degree of self-forgiveness to be at that point of being willing to ask for it from yourself, that in itself can be extremely powerful as well, if it's not something that's going to be received, because we all know that not everybody's ready, and it takes a lot of courage to be at that place.
And we owe it to ourselves to forgive and be forgiven. Even if there's not something coming back to us, the whole act of showing up and asking for forgiveness is what's most powerful. Not what they do, not how they respond, but that we show up from that place in sacred humility, whether it's in person, whether it's a note, or whether it's just speaking to someone who's passed, right? Because ultimately, it's always about how we orchestrate our own thoughts, our own behaviors, and reactions. It's
And
what we do with what we've already done that really makes us who we are, ultimately. The ecology.
and with that, because we've gone all the way from triggers, taking full responsibility and ownership, off-gassing the ecosystem of energy. Like this is phenomenal. I can't wait to re-listen to this one. That opportunity, what would you say, Janelle, to somebody who is ready and willing to yeah, not pollute anymore, to make a commitment to themselves to not pollute, to not react from that triggered state? Um, what is one thing that you could tell them, or one reminder even that would just like bring this all back?
I think the one thing that makes the greatest amount of difference is make that decision inside yourself. Make that declaration inside yourself with yourself. Because once you make that commitment, that declaration, you'll actually see your reactions are going to change, because you have actually gotten in front of yourself and said, hold the show. We're not going to do this anymore. And now you're the conductor of all the players of your own inner orchestra. You are standing in the center. And now you're taking responsibility for each person in your own orchestra. And when you do that, everything becomes a new window of opportunity. And then you will see, because there's a way that we can become proactive. It's like you're on the other side of the bridge, looking at the world and being with the world from your own conscious awareness. I am committing to be awake and aware, first of my own self and my reactions to the world, and taking full responsibility for my part, however that looks.
So, as a bringing it all back, let's say that Janelle says something to me, and I am completely thrown aback by it. I can't believe she said that. Like, what the heck? Like, what's wrong with her? Or all of the like, how could she have done that? And catching myself in that and going, oh, wait a second. This is something that she said, but this is something, this is where it's impacting me inside of me. What is it inside of me that's responding right now? Like, what's triggered right now? And that could be, I don't feel like I'm good enough, or I'm never going to live up to her expectations, or she's judging me, or she's criticizing me, or whatever that is, and going, okay, if this is actually mine, because if the button wasn't there, it would just slide right off my back, but something got pushed. Then that's when I take full responsibility and go, okay, this is showing me something. What's it showing me? Oh, I feel like I'm not good enough. Oh, that's a hell of a button. Now I'm going to look there. And instead of instantly trying to going, oh my God, this is really uncomfortable. What the heck, Janelle? Well, remember when you did this and this, this, and this, and this, to alleviate the discomfort, to eliminate the pressure that I'm feeling. instead of that reactivity, instead of polluting all over into the space and, throwing a gas bomb so nobody can see anything while I run away. um,
Right.
Instead of doing that, just using that conscious communication and sitting with that and taking a couple of breaths and going, wow, Janelle, I'm noticing like I'm I'm really feeling this and I hear what you're saying, but I feel also really challenged or really triggered, whatever the word is you want to use. Um, I would really love the opportunity to just sit with this and let it land for a while, and maybe we can have a conversation about this later. And just notice the feel and the difference as I say that, how it creates an entirely different ecosystem environment, right? Also allows for that, like, the settling and the actually sitting, and it might give them just as much, resolve to go, "Oh, she heard me and she saw me. Oh my gosh, I was really harsh with what I said." Like, I'm sitting with that too. So that when we do have this conversation, we've both had the opportunity to sit with it whenever
Yeah.
possible. Not always possible to have all that time, but a lot of the time it's way more possible than we think.
Ex- Yeah. And when we tell ourselves the truth and we speak from a place of neutrality, we can say less and mean more. And what we mean is either neutral or loving, where we haven't lost respect for the other person or ourselves, right? Because when we get triggered, there's either that insecurity inside of ourselves that we're not comfortable sitting with. And that insecurity comes from a place that probably tracks back 2 years ago, 20 years ago, or even 30 years ago. And if you have that ability to sit with it, you can see, wow, that reminds me of my dad when he scolded me when I was 6. And oh my gosh, that was just the worst. So if we haven't resolved something in our past, or if it's just a real button, we owe it to ourselves to be really gentle and caring to ourselves and go, wow, I recognize this part of me is still unhealed or unresolved. And I'm going to love myself enough to know that, wow, I still feel it, this place inside myself, this ancient scar, when I feel something similar. And so we take ownership of it and we begin to love that part of ourselves.
And this is where we step into the revolution. That's where the cycle can complete itself. That's where it doesn't have to feel stuck and stopped. That's where the dead end opens up and things can keep moving again.
Beautiful.
Mm. Perfect way to end it. That is a revolutionary conversation from beginning to end.
Energy ecology.
I love that. And I look forward to continuing to play with that and hearing about how everyone listening and watching here plays with that. So please reach out to Janelle or I. Let us know how this conversation landed with you. If this speaks to you and you want to be part of an interactive community of connection that helps to evolve and revolve this revolution together, we host a revolutionary golden genius mastermind every 2 weeks on Wednesday night. And so, depending on where you are in the world, of course. But we'll post more about that. Reach out to us if you're interested. And we are all about connecting one another to that potential within ourselves from the inside out. And we look forward to more and more of these beautiful conversations and everything that comes of them. And I'll let you finish us off, Janelle, whatever wants to come through.
I think it's really, pivotal in these times to be a steward of our own inner peace. And when we meet life from that place, it will be the guiding trajectory and orientation of the style by which you live.
May the style by which you live be one that is very conscious of not polluting.
Clean environment, clean energy.
Inside and out.
Yeah. Contribute to the ecology of the world you wish for. And know that it starts with what you do and how you do what you do. So simple, profound, and effective. See you on the other side of the bridge.